So there's my hook.
Typically, if the hands are traveling pretty quickly, you only have a small little window of time where you can get that face how you want it. So instead of letting the hands turn over so quickly, let's think of the pelvis as doing the turning and the hands are a bit more passive, like along for the ride.
So today, we're with Trillium Rose, who's not only the director of instruction here at beautiful Woodmont, but also a top 50 instructor and the person I want to put in my hands to fix what we've got going on here. So when I'm on the tee box, as you saw, sometimes I'll hit a great one. But when I miss with a pretty good hook. And I don't want to always continue to aim right just to hope it hooks back. I want to have a little more control over it. So I'm looking to see if you could help me out with this.
Okay, the good news is you're not alone.
Okay.
A lot of people have the hook issue. And I wouldn't say it happens all the time, but if you miss, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So I like to just start with a clean, clear understanding of how to create a hook so that you have a blueprint of what those ingredients are. If you know that part of it, you can often fix it, especially mid-round.
Yeah, and will that understanding too, if someone says, well, hook's not my problem, it's a slice, still understanding that they're still going to get a benefit here.
100%. And so everything we're going to talk about with the path and face, those are the two key components of ball flight in terms of curvature.
Yep.
The opposite would be true with a fade or a slice. So I can give you an example on that too.
Gotcha. All right, well, I'm excited. Let's dig into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so Trillium, we established a face and path relationship no matter which way you're curving the ball, but we got to understand it. So what's the next step?
Exactly. So number one is we have to establish the target line because everything we do is going to be relative to that.
Okay.
So I like 2 alignment rods. We're going to stick one in front, so it's along the target line. We'll go to the middle of the building, and I'm just going to continue this. So now when you're standing over the ball, you see that target line pretty overtly, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Pretty clear?
Yep.
Okay. So the two things would be the path of the club and the face of the club. Let's start with the path.
Okay.
So target line, inside of the line is here, outside of the line is there. In order to hit any ball that curves right to left, the club has to start from this side.
Gotcha. So I would be inside this target line here,
Yep.
moving towards the outside of the target line on the other side.
Well,
Or down the target line at the very least.
it actually comes inside and then arcs back inside.
Gotcha.
But because you'll have extension with your arms and it's going to feel as though it's going outside, but it's not because you're going to be rotating hard with your pelvis and torso. It's going to pull it back in.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
when everyone says in to out, I don't disagree with that as a concept, but the club's not actually doing the out part.
Well, that helps me too, because it's funny. I think a lot about my swing after impact, and I think about it being over here or in here. But here we're thinking more pre-impact.
Totally.
Where it's coming into the ball.
That's right.
Okay.
And you know, if you're hooking it, I bet you anything, you're going too much to the right.
To the right. Interesting. Okay.
We could have fixed
So
it
even
already
just
with
that visualization helps me think about it more, a different side of the ball.
Right.
How I bring the club face in.
There you go.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's quantify this for a second. Just bear with me here. So let's say here's the club. It's coming in from the inside. Let's say it's coming in exactly on that would be 0 degrees, 1 degree. Let's say it's 2 degrees from the inside. Follow?
Okay. Yep, I do.
All right, so the face itself of the club, if the face is 2 degrees open, so they're matching, where do you think the ball is going to go?
It's going to just push out to the right, so that would be like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's just being stupid. So we don't want the club face exactly the same as the path. The club face has to be slightly less than the path.
Okay.
So do you want to just hit one and see what happens based on just knowing that about the path, kind of in to in?
Sure. So there's my hook.
Got it.
So there's a perfect example of how I can, when I miss, I hook that ball.
Got it. So I liked the path. Your face was too shut.
Okay.
So when we were talking about the face matching the path, your face was actually pointed left of the targeted impact, creating that huge curve.
Gotcha.
So, all right.
So, okay, so the path wasn't terrible, it was the face there.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So the first thing that I would look at is how strong the grip is. And strong basically means placement. Placement to the right is strong. It has nothing to do with grip pressure. So typically if someone's, say, slicing the ball, you might take their lead hand and and swivel it a little to the right. Yours doesn't look excessively strong, but I wouldn't want you to go any more that way.
Okay, so no stronger, no more this way.
Correct.
If anything, we're going weaker grip this way.
But I think you're okay as it is, so we don't have to mess with it.
Same closed club
Same thing
face
with
there.
the face. Typically, if the hands are traveling pretty quickly, you only have a small little window of time where you can get that face how you want it. So instead of letting the hands turn over so quickly, let's think of the pelvis as doing the turning and the hands are a bit more passive, like along for the ride. So strong hip turn, quiet hands.
So there, we had the opposite effect because I really quieted the hands. They didn't turn at all.
Yeah.
And we moved it to the right.
Cool. So now you see what dial to mess with if you're trying to make changes.
Gotcha. So sometimes it helps to do something completely the opposite and get a... So there I was thinking all hips and just really leaving the hands behind.
Right.
Okay. So let's try one more and try to work somewhere in the middle of those. So now we got a little baby fade.
That's right.
So I see what you're saying. As I'm less involving my hands and letting it square, I'm not thinking about my path at all because we said that was pretty on plane. We're just thinking hands and just trying to control that, and I see how it's changing the ball flight dramatically.
Right. So you've got something to work on.
I do. I do, but at least now it's simplified enough to understand what to work on.
I think that's right, and especially if you're going to go on the golf course and you want to be able to identify a ball flight as having certain elements to it. So
Right.
hook, all right, so the element would be the face is too shot. So the panic button doesn't have to hit every time you have a bad shot. You just say, okay, I can work myself back. Now, on that point, do a practice swing after you hit a bad shot, just to work through it so you can get the feel the way you want it to be.
Gotcha. And what do you say would be a smart thing for golfers to do when they're on the range to even, kind of like we did here, exaggerate a little bit and get a feel for which way, and then you kind of know what
That's
your
right.
body's doing.
That's right. Like if you were in a dark room and you couldn't see anything, you kind of want to know where the walls are.
Right.
So you know where to stay without getting into trouble.
Yeah. Well, Trillium, I appreciate that. I know what to work on in the range. At least I'm no longer in the dark.
Right.
So thank you so much. I'm going to work on this and hopefully it helps you guys too. Remember that face to path relationship is what's going to cause that ball flight. So get out there, grind and work on it. Thank you so much.
There you go.